The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media.
The Rick Jensen Show on 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, WDEL, and streaming to your smart speaker and mobile device.
I'm a longtime client of Dan White. These folks are fantastic. Financial planners specializing in retirement income. Dan Simon is one of the guys. Actually, Dan Simon works out of the Middletown office. He's on the phone right now with another great tip, as these folks always do after the news at 1:30 on Wednesdays. Hey, Dan, how you doing?
I'm good, Rick. How you doing this afternoon?
Peachy. Thank you. Yes. Well, look, there's a lot going on in the world we talk about, and it feels like there's less and less we can do about it. But when it comes to retirement, if you plan and you make the right moves, you're going to be in good shape. And that's why I really appreciate you guys.
That's usually the plan.
I know, man. So you guys talking a lot about Roth IRAs, and then there's some certain rules about this that I guess are different from the regular IRAs, and especially when it comes to distribution. So why don't you help us out with that?
Yeah, so, Roth IRAs have been a topic of conversation quite a bit these days with, people looking to move their money from tax-deferred accounts such as IRAs or 401ks into, the tax-free account, which is a Roth IRA. But, it's important to really understand the distribution ordering rules. If the goal is to get the money into a tax-free account, at some point you're going to probably be interested in taking it out tax-free. And one thing for everybody to remember is that the IRS views all of a person's Roth IRAs as essentially just one big bucket of money. It doesn't matter, how many individual Roth IRA accounts that you have, but they're looking at it as one big chunk of money. And you should really pay, particular attention to a couple of words, or and, when it comes to making withdrawals from these accounts, because it does, really factor in. And these rules particularly factor to Roth IRAs as opposed to a Roth 401k. So there's essentially three different ordering rules, and they're pretty concise. But contributions, no tax, no penalty. So very straightforward. Anything that you've put into a Roth IRA, you can take out without paying any taxes on it, nor paying any penalty on it. Conversions, different story. This is when you're moving money from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA or 401k into a Roth IRA. Conversion amounts come out no tax. Also no penalty if the money is distributed after 5 years, so the accounts had to have been established for 5 years, or if the money is distributed after 59 and a half. So no penalty if distributed after 5 years or distributed after 59 and a half. 59 and a half is usually the magic number there for both traditional and Roth IRAs. When it comes into earnings, right, so any accumulated growth that your contributions or conversions have received, there is no tax on the withdrawal or a penalty if it's distributed after 5 years and 59 and a half. So when we think about it, Rick, from a contribution standpoint, that's really one of the benefits because it provides you with that liquidity of being able to pull out what you put in without paying any taxes or any penalty on it. So, oftentimes we see people utilize Roth IRAs, that they're contributing to, an example for college planning as an alternative or even a supplement to a 529 plan.
Yeah.
In the event that the child doesn't go to college, then, they've got this bucket of money that's sitting there in a Roth that, they can access tax-free whenever they want to.
So let me ask you about that 529 plan, something that I never did. I saved for college for my kid, outside of the 529
Sure.
plans. They're pretty new, I think. But anyway, what are the restrictions on that?
So not a whole lot of restrictions. Where it is restricted is what you use the money for down the road.
Yeah.
So if it's not used towards higher education expenses, then when distributions are made, there's a tax penalty associated with it on accumulated earnings. I use them for my kids. I started early on the 529 side of things. You get a little bit of a state tax deduction on your income tax for contributing to them. But ultimately, I assume it's going to be going towards higher education costs at some point. But the Roth could certainly be used as an alternative for that. If education's up in the air as to whether or not it's going to be funded, or even they go through that process.
So when you have a Roth IRA, I mean, you've already paid taxes on it, and you put the money in and you say, okay, this is for kids' college, fine. If they don't go to college or even a trade school or anything like that, let's say that they decide, well, you know what, I'm going to go into real estate. Oh, okay. I mean, I know young people have gotten into real estate. What they do is they get a job at a real estate company, and they learn pretty much on the job. They go through the schooling, and I guess you have some courses that can be paid for. But if you get a 529 plan, and if you've done really, really well, you saved like, let's say 60 grand or 80 grand on that, it's not going to cost you that much to get certified in real estate, obviously. So you're going to have to pay taxes on that which you don't use for that certification. And with the Roth, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could use that money to help set them up in an apartment, a house, or whatever after they get their certification and start working, huh?
You can use it for whatever you want.
Yeah. Wow. That kind of makes more sense. I mean, either way, it's like these plans are, I don't know, I think of these investments as like buckets. Okay, here's my investment. It's going to be maybe in the markets, a mutual fund, an annuity. Maybe it's going to, any of these things, a CD or something. And you put it into this bucket. It's the tax-preferred bucket of a Roth IRA or the 529 plan, right? And when it comes to the 529 plan, well, the government says, wait, we got to put our hands in the bucket. And when it comes to Roth IRA, they say, well, they got their hands in the bucket to take some taxes out, but I mean, they don't have to have their hands in the bucket to take some taxes out with the Roth IRA. You've already paid taxes on it, right?
Correct. So again, so long as you're, just withdrawing contributions, there's no tax penalty whatsoever.
Yeah.
Again, if the account was established for 5 years, or if the, account owner is over 59 and a half, then, they can pull out whatever they want. It's not subject to taxes at that point.
Well, they always want to grab something. I mean, that's the evil of taxes in this country. It's not like government's doing anything with your money. They're just taking it because, I made a little money here. Maybe you had a money market account and the bank gave you some money. No, you can't do that. We get anytime there's a transfer of money, we got to tax it. Tax it here, tax it. If you're keeping money, you're saving money. Well, we have to tax that if you make anything off that. It's insane.
Whether you're making it, spending it, or living in what you paid for it, you're paying the tax, man. They win every time.
Well, I'm glad you guys are around to help people make that wise decision because you know how it works and you help us all out, and I really appreciate it. By the way, folks, you want to talk to Dan Simon or anybody over there, Dan White and Associates, it's 888-690-8820, 888-690-8820. Good folks. I've trusted them for years and years. And by the way, that's one of the toughest things when it comes to financial planning. Who do you trust? Well, I trust you guys, and I appreciate that. Sunday at 7 a.m., Dan White has On the Money. It's a great program, 7 a.m. on Sundays here on 1150 a.m., 1017 FM, and streaming at WDEL.com. And now I'm going to ask you the dangerous question because I've asked you before, and you go like, I don't know. So do you know what Dan's talking about this Sunday morning?
Yesterday was Halloween, so I'm going to call it a surprise. Tune in.
Gotcha. I did it again. All right, pal. By the way, wait, we were talking about this. I'm going to ask you, too, because some folks I talked to didn't have a lot of kids at all come into their houses. I live in a pretty much a, blue-collar kind of neighborhood. And we got, I'm telling you, close to 200 kids. We got kids coming from apartment buildings down the way, nearby. And I love that. It's great. I mean, all the kids come by. And I have no problem with teenagers who are not wearing a costume. Fine here. Have the candy, whatever. And then you got the kids who are obviously, they're dressed. They're wearing the most affordable costume they can for their situation. And I totally get that, so I give them extra candy. So I'm wondering, how about you guys? How was your trick-or-treating?
It was great. We had, what do we have in our house? We had a lion, a unicorn, and a ninja. And as far as I'm concerned, as quickly as we can get this candy out of my house, the better off we'll be.
Nice. All right. And how much did you bring to work?
That's going to be the trip down to Middletown tomorrow. I was up in the Glen Mills office, so I'll be bringing a bag full of it down, that's for sure.
I was going to ask, be truthful, be honest, because right now my show today is fueled by Twix bars and M&Ms. All right. Take care, Dan. All right, buddy.
All right, Rick. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Right.
Thanks.
Dan White and Associates. You just Google Dan White and Associates. All right, it's 302-529-1017.